All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're laying out the exact chronological blueprint to take the sale of your business from a stressed-out, last-minute panic to a premium, highly profitable campaign. Look, selling your business, it's not just some transaction. It's the culmination of everything you've built. We're talking years of late nights, tough calls, and major sacrifices. But it's crazy. So many owners just leave money on the table because they treat the sale casually. So, using a comprehensive guide on selling smarter via the Yescapo platform, we're going to map out exactly how to position your company so buyers are literally begging to acquire it.
First up, you got to ask yourself this really hard-hitting question. Are you selling a business or just a job? It kind of flips your whole perception of what you've actually built, right? Because if your business depends 100% on your memory, your personal energy, and your specific relationships, well, a buyer's going to look at that and see a massive red flag. They're thinking, wait, what happens when the owner walks out the door? Do all the customers just leave? That's why preparation is absolutely everything. As you're going to see, locking in a premium valuation is all about proving you're handing over a self-sustaining machine.
To get us there, we've broken this explainer down into a 5-step game plan. We'll hit on the biggest selling mistake, how to actually prep your business, selling the future benefit, mastering that Yescapo listing, and finally, closing the absolute best deal.
All right, stepping right into step 1, the biggest selling mistake. And honestly, it's a simple one. Waiting way too long.
The clock is ticking, folks. You absolutely should not list your business when you're already totally burned out, stressed to the max, or just desperate to get out yesterday. Buyers have a sixth sense for pressure. If they smell desperation, trust me, they'll use it against you at the negotiating table. Ideally, you want to kick off your prep 6 to 12 months before selling, maybe even 24 months if you've got a really complex operation. The absolute best time to prep for a sale is when the business is healthy, stable, and growing. Do that, and you shift the buyer's brain from, why are they dumping this, to, wow, how do I make sure I don't miss out on this?
Which leads us perfectly into step 2, prepping your business for sale by getting those operations squeaky clean.
Now, the make-or-break element here, your financial records. A buyer could completely fall in love with your brand or your awesome location, but if your numbers look like a mess, they're going to hesitate. And let me tell you, hesitation kills deals. Before you even think about hitting list on Yescapo, you need this checklist totally locked down. We're talking profit and loss statements, tax returns, balance sheets, revenue breakdowns, and cash flow statements. The goal is super straightforward. Make the buyer feel safe. Crystal clear numbers prove there aren't any skeletons in the closet. They show consistency and immediately make your whole operation feel top tier and trustworthy.
Next up, we've got to tackle owner dependence. This is literally one of the biggest value drivers in any sale. You need to nail these 3 things. Document your processes, train your team, and automate the repetitive stuff. Basically, you have to extract all that crucial knowledge out of your own head and bake it right into the company's systems. Buyers absolutely love a business that can transition without a hiccup. When your Yescapo listing can confidently say, hey, we run on documented standard operating procedures instead of just relying on the founder's daily grind, your valuation is going to jump big time.
All right, moving to step 3, sell the future benefit. Here we're focusing entirely on what the buyer actually keeps.
So many owners get this wrong. They think buyers are just buying their past revenue, but they aren't. Just look at this breakdown. Imagine business A pulling in $2 million in revenue, but leaving only $80,000 in profit. Now compare that to business B. They're only doing $700,000 in revenue, but they are keeping a massive $250,000 in profit. Business B is way more attractive, right? Serious buyers care about the clean cash the business keeps, not just the massive top-line numbers it generates. Every extra dollar of clean profit you can show multiplies into several dollars on your final sale price.
Because what buyers are actually paying for is the future benefit. They're sizing up your profit and cash flow, sure, but also your systems, your brand reputation, your recurring revenue, and your growth potential. It's like a giant puzzle. A killer listing doesn't just say, here's where we are today. It actively helps the buyer daydream about where they can take it tomorrow.
And right at the heart of that future benefit is predictable recurring revenue. Seriously, buyers hate the idea of starting at zero every single month, desperately hunting for new customers. If you've got repeat clients, long-term service agreements, retainers, or subscriptions, you have got to put a spotlight on that. Actually, even if you don't have it right now, say you run a local cleaning company, could you maybe introduce monthly contracts before you list? Predictable revenue is basically a safety net that sends a buyer's confidence through the roof.
Okay, let's slide into step 4. Mastering your Yescapo listing. This is your first impression, so it has got to count. First off, we need to talk about buyer intent. When you post on Yescapo, you're not trying to convince some random person scrolling the internet that buying a business might be a fun idea. Not at all. Yescapo is built for an audience that is already actively hunting for acquisitions, ownership, and cash flow. You are stepping right in front of a highly qualified room full of hungry investors. Because of that, your listing can skip the fluff and speak directly to the hard details they actually care about.
Check out how just a tiny tweak in your wording completely shifts the power dynamic here. A weak listing says something like "need to sell fast." Oof, that instantly creates pressure and kind of smells like a sinking ship. But a strong listing, it says "ready for the next chapter" and seeking a buyer to continue growing the company. You see the difference there? You're creating a sense of urgency without sounding desperate. Confidence always sells better than desperation. You want the buyer to feel like they just stumbled onto a gold mine simply because your life priorities changed.
And that exact same rule applies to how you talk about the future. Please avoid vague, lazy phrases like lots of potential. Instead, get specific, clear growth opportunities through SEO, paid ads, and local partnerships. Now, you don't have to promise the moon or guarantee unrealistic numbers, but you do need to point a giant neon sign at where the untapped upside is hiding. Like if your business grew entirely by word of mouth, tell them. Point out that a buyer with actual marketing chops could scale it in their sleep. Paint that vivid picture for them.
So, the golden rule to remember for your listing is this. Position your business as the smarter alternative to starting from scratch. Buyers are constantly weighing two options: buying your proven business versus the absolute grind of starting at zero, which means zero customers, zero systems, and zero proof of concept. Remind them right in your listing that buying your company means bypassing all that pain and stepping into an established operation with a real track record. That framing, it's a total game changer for your perceived value.
All right, we've made it to the final step, step 5, closing the best deal and protecting your valuation.
Once that listing goes live, get ready because the questions are going to pour in. If you take forever to reply or you get super defensive, buyers will just walk away. You need to have a professional buyer information package ready to go. We're talking financial summaries, operational details, customer breakdowns, asset lists, the employee structure, the whole shebang. But the real trick here is finding the balance. You want to give them enough clarity to build massive trust and keep them hooked, but you absolutely have to protect the highly confidential stuff, like exact employee names or specific supplier pricing, at least until you know they're a fully qualified, serious buyer.
Now listen to this. Dropping a sentence like, "The owner is willing to provide transition support to help the new buyer understand operations," right into your listing, it is basically a magic trick for holding firm on your asking price. Think about it. Buyers are terrified of day one. They're thinking, are the employees going to quit? Are the best customers going to bail? By explicitly offering a little transition support, maybe a couple weeks of hands-on training, personal introductions to your key suppliers, or even some brief consulting, you wipe out so much of that fear. And in the world of business acquisitions, less fear almost always equals way stronger offers.
And when those offers finally do start rolling in, you've got to look way past the shiny headline asking price. The structure of the deal matters immensely. You need to look closely at the upfront payment, check if they're asking for seller financing, look at any earnout structures, the closing timeline, and those pesky non-compete agreements. Honestly, a slightly lower offer that has a clean, fast timeline and rock-solid financing is often infinitely better than a massive offer that's totally bogged down with complicated conditions and uncertainty. Remember, the goal isn't just to get an offer, it's to close the absolute best deal.
Ultimately, the huge advantage of leveraging a platform like Yescapo the right way is that strong visibility creates natural competition. And competition, that's what protects your price. When you serve up a clean, well-documented, profitable business to an audience actively hunting for acquisitions, you massively increase your odds of sparking multiple, serious conversations at once. And when buyers know they aren't the only horse in the race, they negotiate way less aggressively. Suddenly, you're the one with all the leverage.
I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. Your business might be ready for you to leave, but are you actually, emotionally, and operationally ready for the exit? Selling a business is a deeply personal, emotional journey. If you aren't crystal clear on the exact terms you want, the specific type of buyer you're looking for, and your own readiness to finally step away, well, that emotional decision-making is going to hurt you at the negotiating table. So don't wait until you're burned out and desperate. Start your prep campaign today. Clean up your numbers, build out those bulletproof systems, and step into the market from a position of absolute power.